Hi friend, it's Pat Sloan and it is Wednesday, Block Wednesday. But it's not Block Wednesday this week because we start that next week. We finish childhood games, we start going on a picnic next Wednesday. So what's the challenge today? Let's do that first. Nifty calendar. It's too big. You know those items, right? They are too big to store. So I want to find out how you store those items that are oversized, like your batting, which even if you buy a small package of batting, it's still bulky and it has to go somewhere. Where do you put all of your big rulers and odd size rulers? You know, where do you put those? I'm sure there must be, like, well, if you do embroidery, you have all your embroidery stuff, your hoops and the unit that goes on here. So for me, my batting actually is stored in our extra bedroom of the house, which has all the quilts. And we took along, I don't have one in here because I don't need it down here, but along the top ridge of the room, I put a shelf, like those wire shelves you find in your closet. I just ran one of those and we've got the batting stored up there. And then there's a couple big rolls, and those are also, you know, stored up there. My rulers I have in several spots, which I don't like that I have it in several spots, but I found that on the other side of my koala table here is where I cut. So the squares and the long rulers are on the floor over there because I use them so much that I could just easily grab them on the floor. Down here in my koala, let me see if you can see it. I think if I pull it out, there are drawers in the koala, see? And this has down here, which would be pegboards, if you've got like your hoops and stuff or things you want to hang on a pegboard. But then I have all my rulers and like sandboards and other things. Then I have a drawer with rulers over there. One of those drawers has rulers in the back side and thread in the front side. So I had to have rulers in 3 spots because I have quite a few. Oh, I have a few more in the rolling assistant over there that I use all the time. The small ones that are, you know, like 6.5-inch squares and the triangle one. So tell me, how do you store those oversized things, and what oversized thing do you have that I haven't thought about? You know, you might have your extra machine, you know, bulky stuff like that. Okay, that's your challenge for today. We're going to talk, okay, oh, before I go on to the free motion quilting, because there's no block today, I put up my my review of the wool mats. So if you have not seen that, it will be over at the link below, and if you get emails, it'll come in your email. So these are the wool mats that I use, the Precision. I really like these ones. These are 2 of the smaller ones, and I have a longer one that I put on my ironing board. I don't ever put these down on a wood surface unless, you know, or a Formica surface unless you really have tested it. Because even though they are super thick, if you use steam, which I happen to like, it is going to get warm and, you know, even through the thickness. So we want to be careful of your surfaces. Some people will take like the cardboard that comes with it and wrap it in foil and place it on top. So whatever you do, just be careful when you're using the wool. But I love the wool mats because these have been around forever. They're not, but they sort of, in the past few years, the quilters have rediscovered them. Some have already been using them. The garment makers use them all the time. They have great big, you know, ones for the garment makers to, you know, press out large things. So my garment maker friends use it, but they will help you get a really flat quilt block. That's what I like about it. And I pretty much use it 100% of the time right now. Unless I have something long, then I'll pick it up. And I actually have 2, so I can actually put them side by side, and they hang off a little bit because they're too long then on my ironing board. But I just love how they make my block so nice and crisp, you know, because that steam is wonderful. So you can read the review down below. You can pick one up if you don't have one yet. Okay, what are we going to talk about? I want you to try today, for free motion quilting, try adding some shapes to your loops. So they are a really fun addition so that you can use them for background fills or to put into areas. So let's come on down here to the machine. Okay. And I am going to do some loops with some hearts because I think those are pretty easy for people to do. So a heart, I'm going to do the heart like this, where I'm starting in the middle and I come make the left side, right side, and then come over to the left side. So start in the middle, come up and make one side down to the point, and then go back up and mirror it. So they are sort of like hanging off the end of like think of them as like what are those, bleeding heart flowers? Yeah. So here's a heart, and then it will come up the top, and then I will do another one. And you can make them fat, you can make skinny hearts, you can do like a little loop-de-loop in between. So for this, let me just do like a little loop-de-loop, and then I will, let's see, rotate this a bit. So come back over here, do another heart. So hearts are a lot of fun. They don't have to be totally symmetrical unless like that makes you insane, but can I do this? Try and give you a better view. It's always so hard. There you go. So here are some hearts. There we go. Now you can also do something like a star. So let's come out here. And a star I do, let me just do a star first. You know, I sort of do those, I don't even know what they're called. They're 5 points, obviously. And you can start the star point anywhere on it. It ends up sort of being at the bottom of a foot, doing it like this. And it's very angular, so if you've been having some issues with doing curves, or you sort of don't want curves in a space, stars are good because you're just moving easily to those points. Point, 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 move. So what I'm doing is coming up and doing the top part of the star, and then down, and then going to the left, over to the right, and then connecting back for the last leg. So that is how the stars look. And then you can make them so there's curves in between. So like you do a star, and then maybe you curve around and you add another one. And you could play around, so like, could you maybe do a moon? You know, there was a moon. Sort of like, whoops. They sort of look like, I don't know, leaves at the moment. They don't look too moon-like. You might have to work on that. Okay. One more. And that is stars and hearts. This is your assignment to do those. Here we go. Whoops, sorry. There we go. There's what they look like. The other thing that I told you about yesterday was I wanted to do something that kind of looks like lace in the small inner border of the panel for Paris. So what that will look like for me is, remember the inner border comes a long channel like this. So I am going to do a loop, keeping the right side. I think it looks like a little eyelet lace. So here's what I'm going to do. It's got a straight side with a loop, straight side with a loop, and the loop is going back and then coming forward. So I'm going to the left of me and then behind me and come forward for the loop. And I will be in the inner border, so that will be what this looks like on the inner border. So that's the other little shape that I'm playing around with right now. And that's what these little quilt sandwiches are perfect for, so that you can play around with some shapes. You can go out on the internet and just, you know, Google some, you know, quilting shapes. Speaking of that, on the wall, how many of you bought a dream panel that you have not yet basted and have not started? You didn't pick that as the first thing that you did, but you bought one because you want to play with it. I didn't start with that first. I'm doing Paris, and then I will go to the dream panel. But I am not one who has a whole, I've never done one. I don't have a whole handful of fancy fills to go in it, so I am going to go to the internet and take a look at what other people did and see, like, well, what kind of fills do they do? Do I like that? Do I want to try playing around with that? The only thing I do know is that I will do for each petal, I will have about a 1/4 inch away from each other this outline for the petal. I do know I want to have that for all the petals. Also, the panel that I got is got turquoise out to, what is that, sort of almost like a lime. I'll lift it up a little bit. See, it's got sort of the turquoise out to sort of really a pale limey yellow, and then a little bit of pink at the end. So I will change thread colors. I will start very dark teal, and then the medium teal, and then go and do that limey and the pink. So I'm going to keep the colors the same as in the panel. And that won't be finished by the end of the month, just so you know. But I am going to start it, and I will go and quilt on some of those. But first, Paris. There's always time for Paris. Paris first, and then I will do that. Paris is not going to take that long because I'm basically going to use what's on the panel itself to help guide what I quilt. And so that'll be fun to have that to hang up. I'll probably go in my bedroom. Yes, I think that's where I'm going to put it. Okay. It's Wednesday. Time to get your quilting done. Time to tell me where you store your big items for your challenge for today, here or at my Facebook group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. Thank you for using my links. I love you very much for sewing along with me and for being part of this community. Mwah, mwah. I will see you online.